everyone. So Roger's had a problem, so I'm going to just take over the agenda unless Rally, you want to, if you got anything, or Maxine, I don't mind.
Well, we just
Um,
need to discuss definitely the banking question and us not being
Yeah.
there. That's something we need to discuss. I'll yield.
Okay.
and then
All right.
we must discuss the assembly.
Okay, cool. So then it's pretty much open sesame to everybody that is here, which is really awesome because whoever's here, excluding obviously Roger, who had a problem, and that's why he's not here. I'm actually really happy to have you guys here and on the group. I don't think that Gail fully comprehends how to deal with the meeting. However, she is so busy with other stuff that I would prefer her not to tie her up with meetings like this. So I'm going to make an exception for Gail because I just know that she's busy hunting on the other groups at the moment. So she's working and I don't want to take her off of her job to come and discuss these things. So is that okay with everyone?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
That's
Cool.
fine, thank you.
Okay, so this last week has been one hell of a week. It has really knocked us sideways, and I don't know, Jessica, if you know exactly what we're talking about. Monica knows, and Chamotso, I don't know if you know, and I think Tina would have been in the loop, but I don't know if Rally informed Tina. You know what I'm going to be chatting about, guys?
What is it about the discussion on the group?
Yeah, just all about SA Assembly and all of these different things with the banking and all of that. Are you all kind of in the loop of what has happened this last week?
Sort of. I've been trying to catch up as quickly as I can. I've been trying to catch up.
Okay, Chamotso, do you know?
Somewhat I've figured out from the group chats and what I've seen as well.
Okay, and Tina?
If I can present, let's just start from the beginning.
Yeah, sort of. Thank you.
Yeah, let's
Cool.
just start from the beginning so we can have it on record of exactly what the pros and cons are and what we've experienced in that, and then we can, have a debate after that. I yield.
Okay, so I just wanted to know where everybody was on the thing because I get it that we do, but I just wanted to know if there was anything. Okay, so basically what happened was we have been dealing with international meetings. We have been dealing on the groups. There has been nothing from SA Assembly, which that is now where Dorothea is with SA Assembly, but there's been nothing on SA Assembly. They haven't joined any of the meetings. And what happened was we asked for mediation because, as you know, before Rally, myself and Roger were involved with SA Assembly as well as with SA Jural. SA Jural split from SA Assembly. When SA Jural is split from SA Assembly took over Gift of Truth's Telegram channel, dumped all of you, if you were on Gift of Truth, onto the new SA Assembly's Telegram channel, making it look like they are 2,000 strong, but they'd actually basically taken the group that myself, Rally, Tina, all of you basically, I'm sure, have been on, and I'm sure Maxine as well, and they dumped us into SA Assembly, which was a sure sign that number one, they hijacked that assembly. And then it was later came out where Saka, who works with Michelle and Karen with SA Jural Assembly, and that is with BT, Brother Thomas, where the original 928 documents, then known as emancipation documents, came from. So what happened was, when SA Assembly then was confronted, they then said, oh, no, we didn't. And then they kind of gave Gift of Truth back to them, but they had all of the numbers, members, and everything else, and they carried on. Then we started getting busy, and I think the biggest part of our assembly and our biggest success has been on the litigation. If I look at our litigation and on our court cases, and everything to do with the courts, the statutes, acts, and ordinances, we are way ahead of the other assemblies. I can quite comfortably say this because I have heard voice notes where Zayn has come to rally and said, oh, you always help me, and everybody's always coming to rally to ask for the investigation and for the research. However, they take what they want out of it. So Zayn approached Raleigh as well this last week to say that he had heard that there was a lot of bad mouthing about the United Cape States. He is not wrong because, like I said to you before, I even got Wanda to actually respond because I've been poking the bear because the United Cape States, basically what they're going out there now to do is they are looking at doing a session. Now it has come through, we're dealing with quite a few of the koi and the sand. There's a lady by the name of Nina, and she and Raleigh have been working for many, many months together. I don't exactly know how many, but she knows Brother Thomas, she knows SA Jurel, she knows SA Assembly, she knows Zayn, she knows all of the people that we all know. And in all of that, I had quite a meek little conversation because after, by the way, to let you know that Esmery has resigned, but it was just after Esmery resigning again. It was just after that I then I was just posting on the group, how kind of down I was feeling, and I was posting it on the banking group. However, what happened then was I had a casual chat with Nina, and Nina then, her and I having this casual chat, put 2 and 2 together. Dorothea is going out and telling everybody there that they have to join SA Assembly. SA Assembly is the only assembly that is recognized. SA Assembly is saying now that you have to not do 2 witness protection forms, but they're now 4 witness protection forms, and they have to do it. She's also saying that the first I don't know. I've got it all on my WhatsApp now. I can go look at it. The first 1 million or the first 100,000 or whatever it is, she's informing that group that they will get money. She's promising them money. She's promising them that they're going to get money if they do the first emancipation. And then after that, when they get their numbers, then it's going to be more expensive. So they are basically charging people to do the emancipation, and I think also to do the GFG. So she's pushing the GFG document, she's pushing everything else. Now, just to go one step back on all of that, is that last week, Wimpy, who is not the state coordinator for South African Assembly, and Wanda, who is a national state coordinator for South African Assembly, neither one of them have ever been on any of the international INAC meetings. They've never been on any of Anna's meetings, not on any of the meetings that myself and or Raleigh or anybody else has ever attended. They have never been there. However, this Wimpy Oak, not too sure who he is. I think he's the chairman. I really don't know. He then went on to the group, and he went and greeted Mookie and said Happy New Year and started speaking about the South African Assembly. I think he was speaking to Mookie's wife, Judgy, more so than Mookie, on the INAC coordinators group. So when he was speaking to Mookie, I don't know exactly how the conversation went, but it obviously went very well. And then Mookie decided that no, Wimpy is the real deal and the South African Assembly is the real deal. I don't know how he got to that, considering that we have sent him documents, and it's so funny that these are meant to be researchers, but we have sent him documents stating what the United Cape States are saying. We have told them that GFG and all of the nonsense and the shenanigan that's going on, and it looks like the Australians and the Irish and that are using that same kind of attitude, which I'm so sick of when it comes to Africa. It's like, oh, Africans need help. Africans need everything, as if we this stupid bunch of people that don't really know how to work our own stuff. Meantime, if the rest of the world would stop meddling in us, we actually know how to deal with ourselves and our own people. But anyway, they came in and they thought it was very cool and cute and amazing that Dorothea is going ahead and telling everybody to join GFG and they're going to get money. However, Dorothea is telling everybody that they are the only recognized assembly. And when you look at what the Americans, I'm going to put the Americans in with this, the Australians, the Irish, all of them, it looks like they have taken on SA Assembly's side of things. Now, we have a letter on the 12th of the 12th, which Roger is busy doing a letter, and we are going to be sending it to INAC, and I will definitely be having a conversation with INAC. But I don't even know. But on the bottom line of it, Roger's sending them a letter that on the 12th of the 12th, and we can send that onto our Telegram group, Mookie actually sent a letter to Anna saying that Roger's group is legitimate. Roger's group has attended all the meetings. Roger's group is good and fine and everything. And then not even a month later, and Mookie has now said to us, play nice, be fair, because we now seem to be not the fair group. Now this, for those of you that don't know and not aware, we actually went into mediation. We asked for Pierre to do a mediation because we offered a olive leaf. And the reason we offered the olive leaf is for this very reason. This truthist community, this community that we're dealing with, whether we call it emancipation or whether we call it politically status corrected, which is the correct name because we do not want to emancipate, we want to be sovereign and not sovereign. However, when we look at this whole thing, I went on a tangent now I've lost my train of thought. But when we look at, what was I going to say? Help me out, guys. Where was I? My thought has just gone totally, and I've taken my line main. When we look at, our community is really small. We have a very small community. So to try and break up the small community is absolutely ludicrous. We're talking about 2,000 people and maybe 4,400 with all of these people that are going in and signing for GFG, but they're not doing it for the legitimate reason of actually being hutful of the government and knowing that we've been duped and that there is this whole Ponzi scheme, and that is the reason we want to get out. All of those people are honestly just looking for the money. It smacks of the same as we're waiting for the Zimbabweans, we're waiting for Jasara Nasara, we're waiting for this, we're waiting for that, we're all waiting. The whole world is waiting for it. Okay, but these guys have gone on and they've got these people as opposed to doing it on the right way. So we asked for we asked that we have this, if we could have this mediation so that we could sort it out and we could join the two communities. Pierre flat out refused. Tony knew this. He brought two people in to train to mediate. They said this smells of something that is not right. However, Mookie has decided now, as it is this, and you're going to ask me why, I'm going to say I don't know. I have no idea. But they have now just decided to now shaft us aside, and now they're going ahead with Pierre. Pierre is going hammer and tongs. Pierre, SA Jurel, I would say SA Jurel to a degree, because some of they seem to have done it. But anyway, those guys are going hammer and tong to get the people going and to sign up so that they can get their session. And Anna's material on California want to do session and Texas want to do session. She called it the biggest load of nonsense. But anyway, somehow now this is a good idea for the Cape. I don't know. But it is causing problems in the Eastern Cape within the fraternity of the Khoi and the Sun people, because they are basically, some are against it, some are for it, and it's causing a whole lot of issues. So right now, this is exactly where we stand. So what is the solution? What is the way forward? Because now I've given you this whole rather glum look of everything, and I say this is what I believe is going forward, and then this is how you guys feel about it, and then let me know. So the first thing that we're going to say is that this meeting on the 19th of February is of paramount importance, because at that meeting, we are going to say to our whole truthers community, you must know we are so small that I overlap everybody, not everybody, but majority of people I get overlapped on all of these groups. So we're going to send every single group, every single person that you guys know of, every single, and I'm using person just for now, and forgive me, but no, don't use it. Every man and woman that is out there that you know that is involved in this walk, that is involved in learning the truth, that is involved in wanting to politically status correct, etc., 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 they're all going to get an opportunity to come to the meeting. It is time for the assemblies to unite. If they do not unite, then I have no idea what we're actually going to do, because this is a mammoth task. And if we're going to go against fighting within our own community and within everything, then I find this enough. And I welcome Evie. Hi.
When you're done, Manette, I'd like to say something.
Say something now, Tina.
I was somewhere on Saturday, and they were all talking about the very thing. and I kind of spoke my truth. And I said, please go and have a look at the two and make your choice. And then all the negative things came out of the other assemblies. And I said, well, that's up to you to decide. I'm not going to coerce you into joining. I would just like you to go and have a look. And you might just be getting another 4 or 5 members coming over because they kind of liked what I was talking about and not happy with the other side. And I'm not going to mention names. I'm not going to mention where I was. So be prepared and just know that people out there know the truth. And you might just find you're going to get an overload over to our side.
Cool. That's will make Raleigh extremely happy. I'm sure, because that is what he's saying. However, on my side of things, on the 13th, we need to discuss a few things that are going to go ahead. And I don't know how to tackle, I don't know. Raleigh, you've got the DNA Liberty, so go ahead. I don't know what you're doing there, so go ahead. I yield.
Okay, so this is the United Cape's exit document. And this is why I am saying to people, be wary when you join groups that claim to be representing actual living men and women. First and foremost, they got the word citizen in there. Then they say in a free country, every person should have an uncovered absolute right to life. Deprive another person to their right to life. Now, we all know now, citizen and person is not what we want in the language. Okay, so that is already becoming extremely problematic in the fact, and then also the fact that Pierre did tell us that they were in negotiations, or they had negotiations with the Cape Exit Group, and the Cape Exit Group have been people that have been personally, their members or their representative were personally on SA General Assembly, and we made it clear to them that we need to take the whole country back. Okay, so I'm just working on the word person alone. Just give me a sec quickly. So the whole document smacks of citizen and person. Okay, and any other person at a time, whatever right of admission to reserve. Any landowner or group of landowners whose land is on a boundary between states or districts may opt at any time for the property boundary to be adjusted, so as to place his or their land under the jurisdiction of a neighboring state or district. Okay. Where's the other one? It's the duty of the government to ensure that every citizen and permanent resident has access to competency, training, and certification. We are not residents. We are people. Okay? And we populate the geographical area that we know. There's a big difference between person and people, and especially the capital P versus the small people, P of people. The idea of only, okay, then they're also pushing that you have to be bound by. Just give me a second. I highlighted this whole document. Actually, there's something I'm still going to give to you. So in all the public protector, the office of the public shall be established to investigate and protect the public against maladministration, corruption, or the improper conduct by any person holding or performing any public office. Then again, response to dealing with the citizens or service delivery issues. So the document in itself is automatic citizenship at secession. A person, okay, and the immediate family, spouse, children, under children will receive automatic citizenship of the Cape at secession if one of the following criteria are met. Legally and permanently residing in the territory. The person is at the time of secession legally and permanently residing, not living or, yeah, okay, I'm still trying to figure out whether we can use the word inhabiting. But the word residing and residence is problematic. It's not what we think it is. Then, come on, ancestral. You see, we gave this document to all those groups on the INEC. Where did I just see that now? My apologies. Ancestral. Okay, a person is a member of a majority group or is direct children or grandchildren of a member of the majority group A member of the majority group is by definition a descendant of either one or more of the following: the region's First Nations, excluding any person who is a member of any predominantly Bantu tribe, or slaves and other indentured persons who arrived in the region before 1806, or European settlers who arrived before May 10, 1994, or whose family have resided in the Southern Africa for at least 20 years. It says, excluding any person who's a member of any predominantly Bantu tribe. This is a civil war, period, right here. There it is. Prima facie evidence. This is what they're doing right now at the moment. There is some of the guys from the Western Cape, from the Khoisan Sun, who do not want the blacks in the area. Okay. However, there's sufficient statutes that references those who are living close or in the colony, which includes the Eastern Cape. Okay, they had also been there when the Khoisan Sun were present. But this particular phrase right here, this is civil war ripening. And if we don't, and that's why we sent the document to Tony, to Mookie, and they have ignored this document. Now they are misleading. This group from SA Assembly is misleading the guys on the international level. Secondly, the legal implication is if we are going to operate or be a member of the TSASA group in America, this cannot happen because we are following the concept of American common law. Now, I just saw a message from Roger now. Zane said to me that when the Cape exit happens, I must help develop the common law. You can't. Which common law? You've already established the legal system and the citizen system already. And you keep saying person. In this document, let me do this quickly. The one thing I argued with them was the issue of the birth certificate fraud. Okay? There's no mention of the criminality taking place. This system is exactly what we are trying to get away from. And they have ignored that. So we're really sitting with a highly sophisticated, dangerous situation, but people who are trying to sort their things out the way based on their situation.
Really?
Yes.
Could you not resend the document with a letter to the people outside of South Africa and just
It was
tell
done
them,
already.
please take note, you will be causing civil unrest in our country.
Well, Monette's gonna do the INEC meeting on her own, because if I go on there, I'm gonna lose my shit in any case. But the bottom line is, the very first question is, did you guys read this document, yes or no?
Clearly not. They're playing hopscotch.
Okay. And PM must be on that meeting so the questions can be posed to him. Did you or did you not have meetings with the Cape Exit? And that one that indicated, and Patrick said, that we can get the 1.5 to be recorded under the assembly. But that when that happened, this document was already in the public domain. This document was written in 2023 already. I just want to get to the date quickly. Give me a sec. And we had the conversation after the 2023, released the 3rd August 2023, compiled by the Sons of Liberty. I even knows who the hell that is. And the worst thing here is, I found the podcast. And this is where I know that they are deceitful. There was an advocate sitting right next to Sean when they were presenting the Cape Exit process. Now, we all know about the legal fraternity. This document is not presenting the actual truth and the information that is needed for people to make their decision. And I said to them, you are deceitful. You're not telling the people the truth as to the extent of this system that we are operating under. And on that, I yield. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's the document.
Is it on the TSASA website?
I don't think it's on the website.
Could you send it to me, please?
Okay, what I'm going to do is the email that Roger sent this morning, I'll send it to all of you so you can have the document. I recommend read the document so that you can have a proper synopsis of what's really going on. This is very, very dangerous. No two ways about it, okay? And that's why we told them, you guys are playing with fire. We gave you evidence. You ignored the evidence. Come on, man. You can't be kidding me.
Yeah.
May I?
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me? Really, I know we all know that it's wrong, but my worry is that if this is what they're trying to do, and they are basically setting up the new banking system, but only for the Cape area, what about the rest of the country? That's my question. I yield.
Well done.
This is a cabal within the cabal.
That's it.
Sorry. That's the way I feel about it. And that was my whole argument on Saturday. And I said, however, it's your choice. It's a cabal within the cabal. So that's emancipation from one slave. The slave gets from one ownership to the next.
Okay, so I send it to the email that Roger said. I send it to all of you guys right now. I recommend you read it. And then we can definitely have some form of comment. I think it was Homotso first, or was it Max first? You guys can choose.
I asked my question, sorry. It's just because if they are doing this, then obviously using GFG for the new seceded state, Cape, whatever you want to call it now, and not for the rest of Africa or South Africa. And that is also another huge problem that stems from that. I yield.
Correct. Homotso?
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to give this bit of information that I actually got. There was one lady who came through to me. She's actually registered with the Khoisan, right? The Khoisan, the very same Khoisan that is registered with the United Cape. Now, she says to me, they've taken their data information and gave it to the United Cape so that they could be able to get whatever that they need because they needed the amount of people. And the very same people were used again under William Nell, who's now also used people in Lesotho. They were all under this Khoisan group. So they've been sold this data and moved people around. So that's how you have the problem of Lesotho. It originates from the Khoisan. He's having these people, speaking to these people and sending out these people's data. So what I can see here, all this, we're having mafias within the circle. That's what I yield.
I concur with you, Khomotso. Anna warned about the cabal deep state. Okay, so one of the most compelling things about this document, they do not talk about the cabal deep state. They don't talk about the Freemasons. They don't talk about the fact that the Cape Town Parliament is built on Freemasonry ground. It is now internationally well documented that the Freemasons, Illuminatis, the Bilderbergers, the Club of 300, whatever these organizations, the WEF, they are all criminal. Okay, and you must understand something if you're not aware of this, Khomotso, especially amongst the white communities, okay? We have a high contingent of Freemasons in this country, in conjunction with most likely with Illuminatis, and there are those who are part of the Knight of Malta. You're talking Cyril Ramaphosa, you're talking Thabo Mbeki, Anton Rupert, even Desmond Tutu, Thabo Mbeki. There's a whole range of these guys who have joined these private organizations which are internationally based, which has nothing to do with any forms of, if I want to put it in the layman's term, a sovereign government structure. And as long as that parliament is on an international private property or private organization's property, we don't have a country as what we think it is. And this is why I'm struggling with our documents, is because, and there's two sides. One, the issue of the country, and now the fact that we are under the Commonwealth again, and we are classified as Commonwealth citizens, small letters, makes it even more problematic. I just read a document this morning to say that the Constitution was approved by the Constitutional Assembly. That means jack shit to me, because technically the Constitution is to be derived from the people. And the fact that this Constitution had never gone to a referendum, it was originally an act, then they changed it conveniently. Now, I've got a court ruling that says a corporation can also be a citizen of a state. I read it again. They say it's not always like that, but there's a court ruling that says it is like that. Now, we know for a fact. Now, I actually saw it this morning. A body politic, where's that document? A body politic is in actual fact a body politic is a corporation. That's what I want to say to you. I found it this morning on a legal dictionary. Okay, so what we perceive to be a sort of like an unincorporated, a political corporation or organization, it says a term applied to a corporation which is usually designated as a body corporate and a body politic. The term is particularly appropriate to a public corporation invested with powers and duties of government. It is often used in a rather loose way to designate the state or the nation or a sovereign power or the government of a county or a municipality, without distinctly connotating any express individual corporate character. And a municipality is a municipal corporation. And these guys don't, these guys that are advocating this thing, and if you go to their website, okay. Now my question is, I just think of United Cape State. Is these guys all MPOs? Because if they are, then they fall directly under the system of incorporation. And that is extremely misleading. So again, we have the blind leading the blind. That's because there are people who are extremely desperate to maintain some form. Look, we know there's economic manipulation. We know there's economic sabotage within the system that we're operating at the moment. I'm trying to put this somewhere where you can see, right? So let me just do this now. Majority of these guys have been on our meeting. So there you've got the Royal House of Davids, United Liberty Alliance, Boer Legion, Cape Independence Movement, Awaken Liberty, Eden Aboriginal Council, Nuwe Land, Kajara Sang Group, Vrye Volksstrijdgenoot, Zuidland, Freedom Alliance South Africa, Emmanuel Theology Institute, and my personal favorite, the National Peace Commission. Then we have a United Nations of South Africa that have all joined and signed up with that man right there. There is Sean on the left-hand side. Now that man has been in my house. These guys are all coming up with desperate situation or desperation instead of going and promoting the criminality that we need. Now, these are all the people now that's now, I believe, have now signed. Okay, so I will just put this into, I'll put this into the chat right now so that you can use it for later for reference purposes. Okay, I just want to do one thing here. You see again, the word citizen, there, look there. So whoever wrote this document for them is actually extremely misleading, and I got a problem with that. Okay, I just want to put it into the chat quickly. So you see, the problem is, as Monette is saying now, is the issue of numbers. But my opinion at this point in time, I would rather have the stuff done correctly. And as I said now to Monette this morning, we need to let time run its course and let them start. Because I can warn you now, all those guys that are telling them to apply for the GFG account, when that money does not come through, there's going to be a riot. Okay, and that's going to discredit them, because we are saying to people, we're not going to push the account story, because we don't know where this money is coming from. The other legal issue is that if we are bounding ourselves to TSASA and to GFG, what does it do to our so-called claimed sovereign status as an independent sovereign country? The other problem now is is the fact that from 4 provinces, we went to 9 provinces, and SA Assembly, when you put a notice of secession out, where they only claimed 4 provinces. So which legal principle did you use to justify that you're only going to claim 4 when we now have 9? Secondly, there has never been any Bill of Rights, except in the beginning talking about man and the Almighty God. But in the next sentence, okay, they give them the sovereignty into the parliament, and then they mention the word person in the document. And it's an act of parliament. So therefore, those constitutions are, my understanding is, it's an internal articles of incorporation for a corporation. The fact that the birth certificates have been identified as clearinghouse certificates and or security bonds does not give you the status of a living man in an unincorporated de jure state. And they've ignored all of it. And they are refusing to read and refusing to tell people this is the actual truth. And the fact that this government or corporation went to go and sign up with the Commonwealth without even pushing out a referendum. Now, you must remember, in the RSA Corporation, it's only the president that can call for a referendum. And that was my beef with BT. Where does it say anywhere that we, as the actual living men and women of the geographical area we know as South Africa, have any forms of right to call a referendum? And the worst is when I had an argument with the guys saying, you can't do mass political status correction. Why? The key thing here is the contracts were signed individually by each and every mother. It was a private individual contract, not a collective contract. That has legal implication. It is you, the mother and the father, and the brother and the sister that must correct that status. And when I asked specific pertinent questions, I did not get the answers. You must understand, if I'm going to present these 9 to 8 docs, I need to know 100% what I give you is correct, and it can stand in a court of law. Because if it is correct what Anna said to us, we've never been an unincorporated government structure or corporation. Because sovereignty is equals to unincorporated. That means a corporate structure. So we now know that a body politic is a corporation. That's why my remedy is now we send out letters plus living testimonies to the parliament, including the political parties. Why? Because the political parties are known as body corporates. They now operate under commercial jurisdiction. That means private law. They can sue and be sued. Now we go for them because they are the ones that put their representatives in that parliament. And that will include unions as well. And there's been a lot of frustration, and I know there's a lot of frustration, but I cannot, in my good conscience, remember, I'm doing the same documentation as everybody else. I am not confident with this thing. And Monette was right. We are not getting jack shit help from the Americans. And even if I said we will send the email. How many emails have me and Monette and Roger have sent to Anna? Because you're the one that came up with this mess in the first place. You're the one that said we must fix up this mess. We found now the name of South Africa, just South Africa, in 1804 in one of the statutes. Now, is that the unincorporated or is that the incorporated? Or does it belong to an international organization like the British Parliament or the British monarchy? Secondly, the Republic of South Africa, is it an incorporated or an unincorporated? Then comes the provinces. The provinces, another word for province, is a colony. That's the alternative. And a colony is either a protectorate, a province, a territory, or a dominion. This is the legal implications I'm sitting with to try and get the stupid documents in order so that it has lawful standing. I have to go through all the legal words and try and get a consensus of what words is the correct words. I'll give you another example. And the legal term for a country is a sovereign state, all small letters. A sovereign state is a body of land with a government, a permanent population, and the ability to interact with other states. A nation is a social organization that shares collective identity, such as a common language, history, or culture. A nation can also refer to a country and its political and social systems. Now we've got two interpretations. A state is a group of people with sovereignty over a specific territory. Now there's the first time we get the definition of state, which says people. A sovereign state is a country that has a permanent population, a defined territory, and a government that is not under another government. The fact that we joined the Commonwealth, or we are not under another government. Now I've got to research more information to understand the legal implication of the fact that now did we give up our sovereignty to be part of the British Empire again? Because according to me, it seems to me that we've always been under the British Empire until 1961, when the positive point for Mr. Verwoerd is that he resigned from the Commonwealth. Based on Algerian document from act from their side, okay, we were classified as a foreign country. So there's the question. Did we then also resign from the family of nations? Because in the Constitution, it says we are part of the family of nations. But it says we are a democratic state. And that changes the ballgame, because there's now literature going out and saying, okay, it says a democratic South Africa able to take its rightful place as a sovereign state in the family of nations. If we are going to be an independent sovereign state or a sovereign country, what is the legal implication thereof? Because we've got to do it right. Now, the next comment is, if Anna is going to accept Mookie's word about the fact that the SA Assembly is going to be recognized and we become members of the TSASA under America, do we lose then our independent sovereign status again? And that means, because remember, we said we're going to adopt the American common law concept, but we're also using their literature to establish an unincorporated de jure government. And I'm saying to you now, I would rather take a little bit more time having the right information to give out to the people. If you make one mistake, if you say the wrong thing, and it comes out that we are a bunch of twats pretending to know everything, we will lose. That's my problem with SA Assembly and General Assembly. And the biggest fight I had with Pierre, and he said it, you can research the statutes and acts in your own private time, or in your private capacity. What's the one thing that we need, which I've been saying the whole time? The statutes, acts, ordinance, regulations, bylaws are the evidence of the concept, what I believe is criminal conspiracy, with intent to enslave, commit premeditated murder. Why? Because we've been redefined as corporations. Vessels, entities operating under private law on an international level. That is what they're not doing. And as for all those who are still pushing the tribal authorities and the kingdoms, you cannot be a sovereign in your own right if you are subjecting yourself as a subject under the king, because you will become a subject under the king. Therefore, he is the sovereign or the sovereign, because the sovereignty will be invested in him and his family. And the fact that the Cape Exit went to go put that document out, and the fact that Pierre had a conversation with them, makes them in dishonor. That puts us in a very, very dangerous situation. I did, and I will put this on record, and I'll keep saying this thing. When originally we had a conversation with David from the ZAR, I said to him, you can have your reservation or your homelands. You can have it, but you're not taking the whole country. You guys, and here's my justification. The Boers ran away from the Western Cape, and they went to Transvaal and to the Free State, whichever one they wanted to go. The same group that is using the existing ZAR information want to now claim the Western Cape. You can't do that. You don't. You ran away from the Western Cape, but period. So go look for a piece in the Transvaal and go find yourself. Now I can tell you now, one of the problems that the ZAR had at the time is they never had a port or a harbor to do business, because one of the most crucial points in maintaining your independency is that you got to have a harbor. You got to have a railway line that gives you full-on independent status. You are not reliant on anybody else. That's why they're grabbing the Western Cape. Now, as for the Cape Peninsula, my question now is the Cape Peninsula part of the cabal deep state like the District of Columbia and the inner city of London? Because if the parliament is built on Freemasonry ground, then they must have claimed certain amount of territory for themselves. And that's the same with the union building. I got a comment made that the union building represents the British and the Dutch because each one has a separate wing and they come together in the middle. And this is fact. Before the parliament was built, the Volksraad, I'm going to use the word Volksraad because that was used in the article. The Volksraad and the Freemasons negotiated a deal prior to the parliament being built. What was that contract? Because there were Freemasons in the Volksraad. So this is what I'm dealing with and why I am being frustrating a lot of men and women. This document is highly complicated. The worst is the certificate of assumed name. In one state on the expatriation document, we are saying we are distancing ourselves from the political status of citizenship. But in the next document, we are now claiming a corporation status and putting it on land and soil. So if we're going to do that, does it mean that we now operate as an unincorporated sole proprietor? When in actual fact, we want to be recognized as an actual living man and woman in this area of, I'm going to get my brains right here quickly. We are populating the land and soil jurisdiction. But it cannot be land and soil. It has to be soil. Because land is lawful and legal persons operating on international jurisdiction. And that goes for the banking system as well. And the fact that they have not produced evidence to claim that they actually have the outright to make the claims that they are making via their so-called secession. Because in Anna's manual, there are 3 ways of doing it. Now, Pierre mentioned the Zuid-Afrikaanse Republiek, South African Republic. It's not the South African Republic. It was the Transvaal province. Now it's what? The portion of Transvaal, okay, that's been broken up. So it's either Gauteng, I think it's Mpumalanga or Polokwane. That is all portion of the Transvaal. And on that note, I yield.
And everybody is so quiet.
Anybody got something to say?
I think we're in shock. I think everyone's in shock.
Yeah, I think everybody's pretty new. But yeah, this is a fight we've been fighting all along. It's horrific. And it just seems that you take 2 steps forward and you go 1 step back. Yeah, so that is our frustration. I yield.
Let me add another point here quickly. And Manette was with me the day when we were doing research on the land. Okay? We don't own this country. You do not own your property, period. You are a tenant on it. Now, what are those guys going to do regarding land? To obtain land, you're supposed to have the original land patent. Because according to Anna's one evening on the Zoom meeting, which makes sense, you have to take your existing title. You have to go backwards and look at all the conveyance that has been done to try and establish where is the original pattern. Now, let me say this, where everybody's not listening and they're going to make the same mistake. Anna wrote in an article, it says, the moment you subdivide the land patent, you fall under the UCC rules. That means you've ceded your outright right to own your property outright. That's where the allodial thing comes in. Even you can still maybe even use freehold. But if we have not obtained that land patent, of the geographical area. Now, the problem is with us, with the land patent, is that most of the land was given under a charter. Now, the VOC, Verenigde Oostende Company, in English, the Dutch East India Company, and then the British South African Company, they all operated under charters given by the Privy Council. Now, the Privy Council consists of all royalties, duchess, earls, whatever the titles they are hanging on. They received that. Now, here comes the trick. In the Canadian document of the land patent, the only way the foreigners, the Dutch, whether it's not Dutch, whatever, could claim lawful status over the land is by creating settlements. In conjunction with that settlements is to get people to sign documentation. That includes obtaining citizenship. Now, all the settlers, foreigners that came here, were subjects of the Queen. They were not sovereign or sovereign in their own right. So by claiming land or settlement, that is, you'll see there was James gave me the one document where the British African Company was promoting settlements. You can get a piece of land. What they didn't tell those people is you will never own that land. You will be renting. Now, the VOC started the loan farming system under a corporation. That means they were renting the farms out to the people, and they had to cede a certain amount to the company to provide provisions for the ships that were coming through. And in their document already, they were talking about a vrije burger, a free citizen. Now, I still have to go to the Dutch material to go see actually what they really meant by burger, citizen. Now, as for the First Nations and that, here's the problem. Whether you're not black, colored, pink, or blue, it doesn't matter. The moment you registered yourself to be a representative in the 1800 parliaments, remember the coloreds, the blacks, and the whites could be in the parliament. You had to have land, even though it was communal. You had to be in an X amount of a certain age, and then you have to have a certain amount of money. I can't remember what the third one. There's 3 or 4 of them. Okay. The fact that they went to go cede their natural and unalienable rights to become persons to manage an area, you lost your right to the land. Period. There's also the one in the I saw it this morning, something about the 1854. They're talking about the Colonial Native Pass Act. Now take note of the word pass, and all of you will know what the pass is. It's your ID document. They already implemented the pass laws in the 1800s. The moment you accepted that document, whether knowingly or unknowingly, your status changed completely. You lost your status as a living man and woman and your right to claim land. And the other thing, what I've also picked up, which is not happening, is the actual searching of all the treaties that have been claimed. I know for a fact in the Volksraad's, one of their resolutions or minutes in their documents, they make reference to a peace treaty between Pretorius and Dingaan. It's documented, although nobody can find where the treaty is, but there's evidence of a negotiation that took place. So until we have really tackled the problem, remember now what I've also been telling everybody, it's taken the Americans 20 to 30 years to research their material. We've only been doing it for 2.5 years, 3.5 years. But I'm now focused, and some of us are focusing on things that we can try and prove right now. The Khoisans group are really struggling with the Department of the Deeds of Registry. They're really struggling to obtain the original trust deeds. They say they don't know where the trust deeds are. How can you not know it? Because it's in an act. We found it. So where's that trust deed? The next problem coming to this whole equation with the so-called sovereignty and all this kind of crap is the fact that the world's in a trust. We have now confirmation, what's it now? 3 trusts just in South Africa for selective group of people. Umgonyama Trust, the SA Native Trust, it's now been changed. And then there's another trust that's running around. I can't remember the name of that trust. Okay. So now, is this now, are we operating under trust law with a government, okay, being the trustee of the geographical area of a trust? Oh, the Moravians, that's it. The Moravians Missionaries Trusts. Thank you. The Moravian Missionaries Trust. Now, there's a problem here. The reason how these people got control over the world is through religious systems. And one of them, especially in South Africa, was missionaries. And I don't know what deals were struck between them and the missionaries. Okay? Now, this is how they did it. You become baptized, you become a member of the church. And therefore, you will now be classified legally a Christian with a capital C. So what they've done is, whoever colluded with each other from the Vatican, whatever, they used Christian religion and religious law to tie you and give up your sovereignty and your right as a living man and woman. Because in the canon law, they talk of person, not of a living man or a woman. And that's how they tie us up. And Anna said the church and the state has to be separate. And what did the guys from the 1800s do? They combined the church and the state. Now you are bound by all three jurisdictions, land, air, and water. But more predominantly, air and water. So that they could manipulate your land jurisdiction or your soil jurisdiction status. And it all revolves around one word, person. And nobody's guys are talking about it. We're the only ones talking about it. We're the only ones trying to fix this thing up so that we don't fall in the same trap as what our predecessors and our forefathers have fallen in. I beg your pardon. If we make one mistake, guys, I promise you this, man, we can close shop. And we cannot afford to make the mistake. As frustrated as we are, and as we're so gutful of the abuse. That's why we're coming up with a strategy to take on the political parties now. Make them aware of it. Because in the document, we're saying notice to principal is notice to agent, notice to agents is notice to principal. That means I'm going after the members of a private corporation. You are responsible, when we make you aware of it, you are now responsible for the enslavement of mankind. You're now going to be responsible for the killing of millions of people, and you are going to be held liable for the murder and the torture of millions of men and women through the COVID vaccines principles that have been running now for decades. Because somewhere we're going to draw the line. It's going to be, remember the government, the government has limited liability. And it's in the regulation says the government, the pharmaceutical SAPRA, is limited from any forms of liability for the COVID pandemic. But not a political party. Because he can sue and be sued. He's no longer part of the state indemnity, basically. So I'm just giving you guys a rundown of how many facets of things we must be aware of and what needs to be done to take back what we believe is ours. And I'm telling everybody now, and I've been saying this all the time, stop worrying about the land and your cars and that. It's your children that's the number one priority. And in the Constitution says, let me read it. How many of you guys have actually read your Constitution? I'm busy rereading the Constitution by the way, just for that story of the Social Security, it's in the Constitution. They must provide Social Security. So there they got us again. Property is not limited to land. If you've been reclassified as a legal fiction, you are considered property. If we fight to take the children back, if we go, and it's right what Monette is saying now, we must deregister, because that's the very first step. We are giving them notice that we're no longer part of the citizen concept, but the documentation to support that needs to be done correctly. Monette is trying something now. She's going to use the existing documents that she has now. She's going to use it, but in the meantime, I still got trying to get the 9 to 8. And those guys, what documents are that guys using from SA Assembly? The fact, if it's still SA General Assembly stuff, there is stuff missing out of those documents. BT took stuff out. And you cannot put religious text in a legal document. You have to put legal literature in the document. Because you're saying a certificate of assumed name, notice of transfer of reserved name. That's all part of the Companies Act that you must be aware of. This is not going to be an easy battle. You went, you can say, I just had enough. But where do you draw the line? Because they're not done with this damn lockdowns. Okay? The fact that Biden gave Fauci a pardon before he was even, I heard that he was not even criminally charged yet. Yeah, okay, yeah. I also have to leave I got to leave in 20 minutes. Okay. The fact that Fauci got a pardon, that man must be charged with murder, crimes against humanity, genocide, and crimes against humanity. Those are death penalty cases, by the way. So I am now saying, while I'm continuing with this stuff, we still got to push the deregistration, which is very important. Okay. We give a note out. That's why it's like I'm struggling to get one legal man to come and sit on my side. So I'm hoping that Wednesday's meeting, I might be able to get somebody. I've got to get a legal guy. Somebody is going to listen to us and get this documentation right. Because those other groups there, they're going to get those people into trouble. I'm saying it very clearly because they're not done their homework. And all that, I see there's somebody who wants to leave in 5 minutes. Yes, Tina.
Should we not carry on our own? These people who want to speed up the process, they're going to fall.
That is a recommendation that was made as well.
Let's just do our thing. As I said, with the people I speak to are in groups that I don't want to be affiliated with, and I think everybody knows who they are and why. Let's just do ours. Let us keep it small for now. It will grow. God is with us. It will grow. But when these other people, these other groups have realized that they have stuffed up and the corporations, whatever is coming after them, you'll see the masses come in. So let's just do our thing for now. And I will do my share of work with the people I speak to. And I speak to pretty people that's got a lot of influences in these groups. And yeah, let's just do it ourselves.
I support you. I support that. Okay. Like I said, there's a lot of pressure on us. There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of reading, a lot of learning. Okay. But again, as I told Manette over the weekend, my name is everything to me. Okay. You know why I haven't called people that I know yet? Because this document is not right. It's not right. When I call people onto our platform now, and I told Manette, I know a lot of people in Cape Town. Okay. I know it, and a lot of people do know me. But when we bring them on, we are on the right path. We can give them the remedies. We can tell them what needs to be done. There are people that are aware of the corporation structure. Okay. You must remember, I also built a lot of relationship with guys through the COVID pandemic. And I want to drag my family into this thing. But before I can drag my family into this thing, I got to prove to them what I'm saying is correct. And they can, and the biggest thing is we need to be able to defend ourselves individually. When they come for us as an individual, not as a collective, we need to have our act together, our story in, our evidence in place. There's the statute, there's the ordinance. Sorry, sir, you can't rule against me. That's why I'm so ruthless. We've got to make sure that and Anna did say, we've got to know their law as well. Because they're going to pull shit stunts again in the future. This is out, and I'm going to repeat what I'm saying the whole time. Our job right now is to build the foundation, period. And that foundation is based on proper information with required evidence so that we go to our kids and say, guys, this is what has happened. I had a fat argument with my son. Okay. And I had to take the interpretation act and saying, this is the reason why I'm doing this, my boy. He does not believe. He believes this is also a bunch of bullshit. But I'm giving him prima facie evidence of the fact. The Interpretation Act says, according to your registration of your birth certificate based on the Birth Certificate Act, it says you are a legal fiction. The biggest problem, as Manette says also, is that I've done a lot of reading, you understand? But now we've got to do presentation that can give them the wow factor. Like we did on Friday. Komorza, thank you for bringing those people in. The wow factor is important, but it's evidence-based wow factors. I don't want us to be like everybody else. It has to be done correctly. I'm fighting for my daughter that's 12 years old.
13.
13. Thank you. Okay, 13. I had fat fights with the HDB members and the principal. But we've got to have the remedies to take them on. Yes, Monica. So this is what we are facing with. Okay, we are also doing a lot of guinea pigs methods, like for the court stuff and that. Okay. We're hoping that Monette's one is going to materialize to a positive. However, there are still guys that are still stuck with stuff that has already been done to their properties. And I want to make this point very clear. Any man or woman that continues with this bullshit about you don't need to go to court. Anna says don't go to court. However, the problem here is that we did a process that was recommended from Anna's side. Correspondence. Okay? But the court process still continued. Now, what do I tell a man who followed everybody else's idea, okay, right? And there comes to a court of an unopposed motion for final judgment. What does that man do? He's got to go to court, stand outside the bar and saying, sorry, but there's a problem here. We cannot ignore it. We are operating under civil law, which is private law, not public law. We can't ignore it. Because also why we're going to court is to put in cases for eventual constitutional case. That these guys have broken the concept of contract law. And it's contract law that's key to this whole thing. So we can make sure that we have a court ruling and saying, sorry, but this is the correct way. And I'll repeat what I say all the time. I speak to the cops. Okay, out of the 20, one got it right of what the definition of person is. We've got to educate them as well. The legal fraternity knows exactly what's going on. And we're going to go for the legal fraternity in their private capacity. Because their bar association is private. They have got members who contract with the court system to represent themselves in the court. And they do have fidelity funds, by the way, insurance. Okay, I'm going to end on that. I don't know if anybody else would like to say something. But I think it's imperative that we are truthful. We are on par on what we are saying. And that we all know exactly what has to be done and what we need to do to get to the point of being successful. And I yield.
I agree with you, Raleigh.
Thank you, Raleigh. Just on a lighter note, just to end it off nicely, you know, we have a cruiser and we do bike rides every now and then. And I've asked a lady to do a print, not like a badge, but more a DTF print on leather. So she's testing it out for me, and I want to call it, you know, the sovereign tribe or the sovereign country. Yeah, we're going to be very different. And yeah, so I'm just going to have fun with that. But anyway, guys, just on a lighter note, I think we have the mettle to carry on and not give up. I know sometimes it really is frustrating and we feel like giving up. But if we're not going to stick together and make a change, nobody else out there is going to do it. And thank you for everybody for having hair on your teeth and sticking together. I yield.
Hey, girl, I've got my leathers here. I was a biker. I think you're going to have to, I'll have to send mine to you and you do the same for me. How's
Yes,
that?
yes, I'll show you the design when I'm done with it. Definitely.
Cool.
Thanks, Tina.
Cool.
Anybody
Thank
else?
you.
Monet, are you still here?
Yeah, I just said cool. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so is that for today?
I think so. I've got nothing else more to really say.
I think everybody's got a lot to digest. So let's communicate on Telegram if there's any questions or anything else happens. Monet, so are you going to give one last battle on the INAC group this week?
I'm just waiting for Roger to do a letter, and then if not, yeah, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do on the group. I almost want to give them fingers, actually. But that's my ego, and I'm going to have to really rein it in because I am pissed off, honest. I think, yeah, I have nothing. So I'm going to really have to fast and pray about it, but I will try and be as diplomatic as I can be. And if somebody else feels that they want to take on the call, and I mean, I've got enough information from Nina, well, somebody on Nina's group has sent me info where Dorothea is changing. You know, we've got enough from those meetings as well to know that there's a lot of shit going down. And I actually don't think Mookie is, yeah, I don't think it's, yeah, I don't even know, guys. So I'm going to think about it, and I just want to see the letter that Roger writes and then see how the reaction goes on tomorrow. And obviously I'll take into consideration everybody's stuff, and if I feel, you know, then I've got a lot to digest as well, to be honest with you. It's quite a hectic week. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to say for now, and I yield. Thank you. Khomotso, go for it.
I'd like to know, is it correct for Dorothea to be doing the 9 to 8 documents on behalf of people? Because that was being charged. Apparently, her and her admin is charging people 1,000 rands to do all those 9 to 8 documents on their behalf and sending it out. Is it correct? Is it done like that? Because I feel that people will not understand. People will just do the documentation, but not understanding what they're putting themselves into. I yield.
Khomotso, it is allowed. Anna herself said that a man is worth their wages, so she has no problem with people charging. That's why when I brought it up with the GFG and saying the charging, it was like, well, a man is worth his weight in salt or whatever it was. So I don't think Anna has a problem with it. A lot of people are doing the whole process and not knowing what it's all about. So there is a lot of education, and I think it just depends on which route as an assembly we go. Like I started and said, our litigation is very strong. So we're lucky on the litigation, and we definitely are on a good stand. I've asked Tina to assist me to go to court, so she's going to go and just drop off my papers with this new method. And the fact that in court now I've got this highlighted document which is saying that we are disputing jurisdiction before we even get there. So as the judge opens the file, that's the very first thing with all these, it looks like a Christmas tree. We're getting our, you know, karma's, like Tina says, has no menu. And so it is in the court, which is a lot further than where we've ever got before, because when we normally stand up, we say, you know, the birth certificate fraud and that. Whereas by the time they open it, and what they're saying is that it should just be taken off the roll and not be in there. So we've got very strong litigation, but I'm going to be honest with you and say that this information is actually out there on our website and out there for everyone. So we just need to carry on doing what we're doing, be the difference. But I think on the 19th, I think that will be the big day where we need to try and consolidate so that we stop this nonsense. It's not a war between us, and that should not be the agenda. We should be pulling together as a tribe, because otherwise we are playing 100% in the cabal's book, and that is by keeping us divided and this team against that team. And I think if anything, that is what has been the most upsetting for me. And I think it has been the most disappointing in looking at the INAC coordinators group and everything. I think that to me is the biggest disappointment, is just the fact that we've tried to mediate, we've tried to send an olive branch, we've tried to do all of these things. And it does say what Rayleigh's doing is correct. In every conversation that you listen to Anna, she speaks the same as Rayleigh speaks. She's always on about British citizen, states, capital, lower, you know what I mean? So, we're not doing anything wrong. So it's unexplainable at the moment. So I think just, let's just stick to what we're doing. And Khomotso, I do second what Rayleigh said. Thank you so much for actually, putting that group together, because at least we having an opportunity to put out our truth. So that's it. I yield.
Okay, guys, I've got 1 minute left. Okay, let me end it off with saying to this. They are not making our life easy. But if we are truly compassionate men and women, and we are truly, here's the issue for me. We're teaching our children right and wrong. Okay, right? So then when they go into the world, then we say every man for himself. So then what's the basis of being parents? Okay. We are trying to teach them to be able to manage themselves and be able to handle any situation based on information that they receive. So that is why I'm so full on this issue of the family. As you know, they attacked us on our family by the COVID pandemic. How many of our friends and family have told us you're a conspiracy theorist? Are you an expert? And I hate that thing. Are you an expert? Well, you don't need to be an expert, because if you got a matric, you were taught to read. And you were taught to use critical thinking. Okay, so it is important that it is not going to be easy, but as long as Monette says, we stand on our truth, challenge our truth, tell us as we are wrong, please, come on, let's go. Then I would accept that. But the research that we have done and the complexity of the criminality that is involved, there's another guy that said something. The head of the snake is the finance sector. Okay, right? That is where the slavery is taking place. That is how they're manipulating the so-called governments. And this public-private partnership is a massive problem. It takes away our sovereignty. Okay, because of and this is the other problem, international law. But if we just maintain our sanity and we work on getting the knowledge in, getting the right information, and then go out and present it to the public, because we can back it. And we can back what we are saying, because we have, and Monette will tell you, in all the court cases we are doing, I said, give me a court case. Because that is already a precedent that's been set. And we found now that your marriages is commercial contracts. Because the state is party to the contract, not God, not the creator, the state, a legal fiction. And that is what makes us as TSASA, that makes us different to the rest of the groups, because we're going to start digging into the real information that we need to take our sovereignty back and take our lives back and take our children back. En dis al wat ek te sê, en fluit my storie is uit.
Okay,
Same
great,
to you.
everybody. Yeah, okay. I also need to go. I need to start cooking. All right.
Pleasure, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks,
very
guys.
good.
Bye-bye.
Have a great week.
Thank you,
You
everyone.
too.